Okay, so if you're starting any kind of fitness journey, or even if you're deep into one, that scale, right?
Yeah.
It can feel like the enemy sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. People get so hung up on that one number, the total weight.
Yeah, and honestly, it tells you so little about what's actually going on with your health. It's kind of blunt.
It's incredibly misleading. I mean, think about it. You could have two people weigh exactly the same. One's an elite marathon runner. The other's a competitive bodybuilder.
Right. Same weight, totally
Yeah.
different bodies, different health, different strength.
Worlds apart in terms of metabolic function, too. The scale just treats your body like this, like a mystery box. It gives you one number for everything inside.
Exactly. So our mission today is to, well, crack open that box. We're going to move past just weight and really get into body composition. And maybe even more interesting, we'll explore these sort of genetic tendencies, the blueprints for how our bodies are built, the somatotypes.
Like a default setting.
Yeah, like your body's default genetic operating system. Understanding this can be a bit of a shortcut, help set realistic goals. Okay, let's unpack this.
So let's start with the basics. Body composition. Fundamentally, it's the measure of the relative amounts of fat mass compared to non-fat mass in your body.
It's the difference between, say, quality versus quantity of weight.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's what makes up that number on the scale.
And the sources we looked at break it down into two main parts. I kind of picture it like an engine and its fuel tank.
That's a great analogy, actually. So the engine, that's your lean body mass, or LBM.
Yeah.
This is basically everything but the fat. We're talking muscles, bones, vital organs, even water.
The functional stuff.
Exactly. It's the metabolically active tissue. The more LBM you have, generally, the higher your resting metabolic rate. You just burn more calories existing, powers your strength, your overall function.
Right, the engine running.
Right.
And the fuel tank, that's the body fat mass, BFM.
Stored energy, essentially. Now, we absolutely need some fat. That's essential fat. It protects organs, helps with hormone production, stuff like that.
But the conversation usually shifts to excess fat, right?
Correct. When that ratio of BFM gets too high, especially the visceral fat around the organs, that's where health problems can start creeping in.
Like what kind of problems?
We're talking increased risks for things like chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, heart disease. The list goes on. So being healthy isn't really about hitting a specific number on the scale.
It's about managing that LBM to BFM ratio.
Precisely. Finding that healthy balance.
Okay, so once we get that ratio concept,
Yeah.
we can look at these patterns, these somatotypes. It helps understand those genetic tendencies we mentioned. Let's start with the one people often maybe envy, the ectomorph.
Ah, yes, the fast burner.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because what seems like an advantage can also be their biggest hurdle.
That's true. Ectomorphs typically have that naturally slender, lean look. Physically, you often see a narrower frame, narrow shoulders, narrow hips. They might seem a bit delicate, sometimes with longer limbs compared to their torso.
And low body fat, naturally.
Fairly low, typically. Their defining trait is that fast metabolism, a high metabolic rate.
So what's actually driving that speed? Is it pure genetics or is something functionally different?
It seems to be largely a genetic tendency for a high metabolic rate. Plus, their naturally lower LBM contributes too. Everything just seems to burn faster.
Meaning
They chew through calories really quickly, which makes gaining weight, any kind of weight, muscle or fat, pretty challenging for them.
they have to eat constantly just to stay level.
Pretty much. They often need a significant calorie surplus just to maintain, let alone gain.
Okay, but sometimes you hear that fast metabolism thing used as, well, maybe an excuse for not building muscle. What's the real difficulty for an ectomorph trying to get stronger or bigger?
That's a fair point. Genetics plays a role, but effort is key. Ectomorphs often do have to work harder and smarter to stimulate muscle growth hypertrophy.
How so?
Well, their structure, that narrower frame, combined with the fast calorie burn, means they really need to focus on heavy resistance training. And recovery becomes super important. Plus, their nutrition has to be absolutely dialed in.
Relentless about calories and protein.
Exactly. They have to constantly feed that fast metabolism and really push their body to adapt and build muscle. It takes serious dedication.
Okay, so if the ectomorph struggles to turn food into muscle, then we have the mesomorph. They seem like they just need to look at a dumbbell and they grow.
Huh. That's the stereotype, isn't it? And there's definitely some truth there. Mesomorphs are often seen as the natural athletes.
What defines them physically?
Generally, a medium kind of naturally athletic build, they tend to have a higher proportion of muscle mass compared to body fat, even without a lot of specific training.
You often see that classic V shape, right? Broad shoulders, well-defined upper body.
Good posture often comes naturally, too. And their metabolism, it's kind of the sweet spot. It's generally efficient, balanced.
Not super fast like the ectomorph, but not slow either.
Exactly. They don't typically struggle with burning calories too quickly, nor do they tend to store fat quite as readily as the next type we'll discuss.
Which means?
It means they often find it relatively easier to both gain muscle and lose fat. Their bodies tend to respond really well and often quite quickly to exercise, especially resistance training.
So results come faster. But what's the catch? Did that natural advantage ever backfire, say, if a mesomorph gets complacent?
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating here is that while gaining muscle might come easier, that same efficient metabolism means they can also gain fat fairly easily if their diet isn't watched, especially, as they get older.
Ah, okay.
They might rely too much on their natural strength or how quickly they see changes in the gym, but if the nutrition slips...
They can end up strong, but maybe not as lean.
Precisely. Sometimes you hear the term fit fat, still muscular and capable, but carrying more body fat than is ideal because the diet wasn't prioritized. That natural gift isn't a free pass on nutrition.
Right. Okay, that leads us neatly to the third main type, the endomorph, often called the storer. These are the folks who often feel like it's a constant battle just to stay lean.
Yeah, they definitely face a steeper climb in some ways. Endomorphs are typically characterized by a rounder, softer physique. They naturally tend to carry a higher percentage of body fat relative to muscle.
Structurally, what does that look like?
Often a wider frame overall, particularly wider hips and waist compared to their shoulders.
So if the ecto is fast and the meso is balanced, the endomorph has the slower engine.
That's a good way to think about it. Their metabolic rate tends to be inherently slower.
And the consequence of that is?
Fundamentally, they're more prone to storing energy as body fat, even if they're eating what seems like a moderate amount of calories.
Does insulin sensitivity play a role here?
It often does. There can be a tendency towards lower natural insulin sensitivity, which makes managing carbohydrates particularly important for them.
Wow, okay, so this sounds like it requires more than just, eating clean. What specific things do endomorphs need to focus on to manage their body composition effectively?
It really requires a dedicated, multifaceted approach. Diet is absolutely critical. Focusing on higher protein and fiber can help a lot with satiety and managing blood sugar levels.
And carbs.
Strategic timing often helps, maybe concentrating most of their carbohydrate intake around their workouts. But beyond diet, activity is huge.
Because of the slower metabolism.
Exactly. Consistent movement, even beyond their planned exercise sessions, is crucial. We're talking about maximizing NEAT, that's non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Like taking the stairs, fidgeting, just generally being less sedentary.
Yes. Just keeping the body moving throughout the day helps keep that metabolic engine running a bit higher. It requires extra effort and real attention to both diet and overall activity.
Okay, so we've got the three main blueprints: ectomorph, the fast burner; mesomorph, the balanced athlete; and endomorph, the slower storer. But realistically, if we connect this to the bigger picture, people aren't just neatly one thing or the other, are they?
Not at all. That's probably the most important practical point. Most people are actually a blend of characteristics.
How so? Give me an example.
Well, you might have the narrow bone structure of an ectomorph, maybe narrow shoulders, but find you gain fat easily around your midsection, like an endomorph. Or you could build muscle easily, like a meso, but still have that slender ecto frame underneath.
Genetics isn't usually that tidy.
Rarely. It's a spectrum, not distinct boxes.
Which probably explains why terms like, mesoendomorph pop up in fitness discussions. It might not be a formal scientific category, but it seems useful practically.
It's very useful conceptually, even if it's not one of the original recognized somatotypes. It helps describe that common hybrid, someone who has that natural muscular potential, the athleticism of a mesomorph.
But also that tendency to store fat easily, like an endomorph.
Exactly. And understanding that blend is key for training and nutrition.
So for that person, knowing this means they can leverage the meso part. They'll respond well to strength training, but they absolutely need the dietary discipline of an endomorph.
You've got it. They get the muscle building advantage, but fat loss requires those stricter strategies, careful nutrition, maybe more cardio, maximizing NEAT. If you treat a mesoendo like a pure mesomorph and tell them diet doesn't matter as much,
You're setting them up to fail or at least struggle.
It undermines their goals.
So understanding your type or your blend of types isn't about saying, oh, I can't change this. It's more about knowing which levers you need to pull hardest, setting realistic expectations.
Precisely. It's an informational tool. It helps you understand your body's tendencies, but it should never be seen as your destiny or a limit on your potential for improvement.
Because the real goal isn't to fit perfectly into one category.
No. The true objective, regardless of your starting point, your genetic blueprint, is to achieve and maintain a healthy body composition.
And remind us, what defines that healthy composition again? How do we actually measure success, if not just the scale?
Success is having an appropriate amount of that functional lean body mass, the muscle, bone, etc., that drives your metabolism and strength.
Right, the engine.
And keeping body fat mass at an acceptable, healthy level that minimizes your risk for those chronic diseases we talked about. That ratio, LBM to BFM, is a far better indicator of overall health than total weight will ever be.
So what does this all mean, wrapping up? We've looked at these three core genetic tendencies: fast, balanced, slow metabolisms and structures, and we know most of us are a mix.
It means we really need to shift the focus. Yes, genetics lays the foundation. It gives you your starting point, your tendencies, but your lifestyle choices, what you consistently eat, how you train, whether you prioritize recovery, how much you move every day, those are the builders. They play the decisive role in shaping your actual current body composition.
So genetics is the blueprint, lifestyle is the construction crew.
Excellent analogy. And the construction crew can significantly alter the final building, even working from the same blueprint. You can change your LBM and BFM ratio dramatically, even if your basic frame or metabolic speed doesn't fundamentally change.
The power isn't entirely locked in your genes. The ectomorph can build muscle if they're relentless with food and training. The mesomorph needs discipline to stay lean. The endomorph can manage their weight with consistent effort.
Exactly. It puts a lot of the control back in your hands. It's empowering, really.
Which leaves us with one final thought for you to mull over as we finish this deep dive. We know lifestyle significantly shapes our physique, maybe even more than genetics in the long run. So here's the question. If you took two people with the exact same genetic somatotype, identical blueprints, how different could their actual body compositions, that crucial LBM to BFM ratio, become after, say, 10 years, based purely on different lifestyle choices? How much can that construction crew really change the building?
Something to think about. How much divergence is possible?
Definitely food for thought as you navigate your own health and fitness journey.